Ayo back at it again, doing me. Peace and love reflections. Alright, sorry about the late start, but had to take care of a couple things. So back in my old house, done with what I was doing over there. So today's video is about credit. And man, I feel bad. My room's like a total mess right now because I was trying to transition from another house. You know, when you come in late at night, you just kind of just throw everything down and you just don't really give a shit. So today, sorry about my hair too, but I don't really give a shit. That's what it looks like. Normally does this like mohawk thing in the mornings, but I've been doing a lot of stuff. Kind of got like a Bill Nye the Science Guy. I mean, not Bill Nye the Science Guy, but what they used to call that cartoon with the mad scientist, Beatman's World. His hair used to be like this and shit. But yeah, so I can't even believe getting on live looking like. Anyway, it's been just growing itself, doing its own thing. So, peace and love. So today's class is about our credit, and I'm gonna go check to see if the person that I had sent a request to, see if he will actually show up. Anyway, yeah, I know I'm a little late today, but that's okay. It'll be alright. You'll get the video when you get the video. You'll see it when you see it. Totally unprepared today. And today was one of my prepared classes. So, today is about credit. Okay. And it's not about credit cards. It's about actual credit. Like, what is credit? Alright, so got our board again. What is credit? So, yesterday we went over how if you were at like a 700 and up, you were taxed a lot, and how if you were below a 540, you were stop cat, like, dang, how you were taxed a lot if you were in 700 and above, and if you weren't in 700 and above and you were like in the 600s, you were pretty much a mindset of you can go either way, and they don't really kind of like tax you a lot, and they don't really try to drag you in the debt monster. They kind of let you pretty much hang yourself. And then if you were in the 500 and less, then you were in they want you to collect debt, but not a lot, because you were already in debt. But it wasn't. So, excuse the mess. Different location. Also, I'm a bit tired. I ain't gonna lie. Credit scores. What is credit? Let's pull up the other phone. Let's ask Google, since we all like to Google a lot. Let's ask Google. Google says the definition of credit. Now, we have to understand that credit is not just in financial. Credit is when you give someone credit, when you give them what their just dues are. When you say give them their credit for what they did. This is a reflection on how credit is seen financially, because everything in life is seen on the same way, but on a different level. You got spiritual, financial, physical, mental, emotional. All these things happen on different levels, but they're all the same. So when we think about credit, you think about how do we give other people their credit? Well, we tell them, you made this phone. Apple made this phone. Apple got the idea from so-and-so. So-and-so did so-and-so, so-and-so what. That's how they give credit. But when we talk about financial credit is pretty much there's a point system. They give you what they feel you're due based on what you've done, based on the amount of energy that you've given to people, based on, you know, your livelihood and what you've done with it. All right, so Google says credit is the trust which allows one party to provide money or resources to another party, wherein the second party does not reimburse the first party immediately, but promises either to repay or to return those resources at a later date. So let's break that down. It says credit is the trust. So first off, the bank is trusting you with some fake numbers, and it allows you to provide, it allows one party, which would be the bank system, to provide money. So they exchange trust. So let's write that down. We got trust is turned into money or other resources. So we could also have other resources. All right. To another party, wherein the second party does not have to give reimbursement in the first party immediately, but promises either to repay or return these resources on a later date. Now understand that Google gave us a definition, and nowhere in the system does it say interest is added. Well, if you notice that when the bank gives you a certain amount of money or a certain amount of trust, they give you interest in it. They add interest on it. And why do they add interest? Why do they add interest? So we're gonna go deep. It says, what is credit and why do we need it? Good credit, and they write that first off. Good credit is a part of your financial power. It helps you to get things you need right now, like a loan for a car or a credit card, based on your promise to pay back later. Working to improve your credit helps ensure you'll qualify for loans when you need them. All right, so what is a loan? A loan is the same thing as a trust and other resources. It's just a trust. That's a loan. It's they trust you and they turn it into money, which turns into a loan for a car. Now the car company takes you and they take your money and they add interest on it. And also you have the loan people adding interest. So now you got two forms of interest. Peace and love, peace and love. It do kind of do like Goku, y'all. I don't know why it do that, but it goes in this direction. It mohawks out first and then it just kind of goes. But peace and love, peace and love. But so we got, it says good credit is part of your financial power. So they admit that financialness and power, it kind of goes hand in hand in this mindset, the credit understanding, because the government bases their actions in power. Oh, we are in different time zones, bro. You right. You right. I did. You right. That's cool. We should have thought about that. I gotta do better. You're right. I gotta do better. I gotta do better in communication. I mean, I thought about it when I started saying my classes were central time, but I didn't think to tell you that because I totally forgot. But so what we have is financial power. So your trust is actually financial power. So we're gonna write that down. So the corporations turn your trust into money and other resources, but your trust is now financial power. Keep that in mind. Can you still, Nosh, can you still do it though? Like maybe like 5 minutes? I'm not sure. Whatever you feel like, bro. I'm gonna hit you a invite. But anyway, so now that we know there's power in our trust, and trust is, I agree, is an agreement that we made pretty much, because that's what they're saying. You agree to do something, so that gains you trust. When you actually do what you say you're going to do, you gain trust. When you don't, when you constantly tell people, that's cool. When you constantly tell people that you will do something later, and then you won't do, and you know you ain't going to do it, but you just constantly break their trust, then you lose power. So the banking system tells us that our trust has financial power when it comes to the banking system. Your trust with other people gives you social power. When you trust your church and your people and your doctors and things, you give these particular things power over you, with you, and around you, because you've given them trust. So now we learn that the word trust is really transferred into a power. It's one of our superpowers. So we went through what is it, and now we got to go through why do we need credit. So let's ask Google why. It said good credit scores is important, and they highlighted that word. For anyone to have, loans are a necessary part of life for most of us. Building a solid credit history and maintaining a high credit score can have dramatic impact on your quality of life now and in the future when you consider applying for a loan or any prepaid debit card. All right, now let's think about it. Did they say anything about you can't live your life if you had bad credit? No, they don't even talk about bad credit. They don't want you to do bad credit, because like I told you earlier in the other video, when you have high credit, you actually are taxed more. When you have low credit, they want to keep you feeding the debt. They want you to keep that mentality of being in debt to feed the debt monster. And when you have middle grade credit, they want to feed you taxes, and they want to feed you into the debt. You on the fence with them just like they on the fence with you. But they want you with good credit, because the good credit taxes you, and they can get more money from you, which is not a debt to you, because tax isn't actually a debt from you in your mindset. It's just something you've given. We've done it so over and over so many times. We don't even understand that that's actually a debt we're paying off for someone else. We're paying off a debt for someone else through taxes. We're paying the war debt through taxes. We're paying the streets through taxes. We're paying the schools through taxes. We're paying all these people debt through taxes. And where are these debts coming from? It's coming from the trust that they have been, the trust that others have into them, and they're not fulfilling them. And because they're not fulfilling them, they take from us so that they can keep their trust or their power going. Now think about it. If the government, or we're going to say if the bank, told the school they'll give them a lump sum of $5.2 million to build this large school, blah, blah, blah. It got a stadium. It got all these things. And they don't come up with the money at the set time that they told them that they will. Where does that money come from? Because now the people who are building the school system itself is having trust within the bank to get that money. So now the bank has to find a way. So how do they keep that trust? How do they keep their power? They tax by how? In the banking system, they do fees, interest. They make loans easier to get, because that's debt. That's growth of debt. So they make the loans easier to get. So if they make the loans easier to get, the people bring the money, and it's all invisible money. So they're gaining trust. So they take your money, your hard-earned money, and they put it in to building these schools and building whatever promises that they told other people they do to keep their power, to keep their financial trust. So thank you, Kat, for destroying my, it says, why do we need it? What is the purpose of it? Money. Okay, it says, what is the purpose of credit? Money that an investor may borrow from a broker in order to buy security. Promise credit is secured by cash and or securities in a margin account. Purpose credit is also called a margin loan. So purpose credit, that's when an investor may borrow from a broker. So let's go deeper into that. It says money that an investor may borrow in a broker in order to buy securities. Purpose credit is securities, cash, blah, blah, blah. We already read that. An investor who buys with purpose credit can realize huge gains if the price of the security moves in a favorable direction. However, he or she also takes a great deal of risk because it may not move in such a direction. Purpose credit is also called a margin loan. See minimum maintenance margin calls an in-purpose. So we got a non-purpose loan, a loan with securities pledged by collateral or which is not to be used in securities tradings or transactions. A non-purpose loan is a loan secured by securities that is used to buy something other than mortgage security. In an investment bank, it allows the lead up to 90% of the value of securities used as collateral provided by the broker submits an affidavit stating the reasoning of a loan. A non-purpose loan is not subject to the same margin requirements as a purpose loan, which is used to buy securities. Then it tells us to see regulation regulation T, which is the Federal Reserve Board regulation that deals with granting credit to customers by security brokers, dealers, and exchange members as far as initial margins requirements and securities that cover under these rules. The Federal Board is governing the opening and maintenance of margining accounts. Specifically, margining T governs the initial margin and the maintenance margin, which are responsible for collateral. Respectfully, the collateral necessary to open to maintain a margin account, which the percent has changed over time. The initial margin is currently 50% of the amount borrowed, and the maintenance margin is 25%. So, in all of this, we have to go back because they gave us a lot of information. So what we have, from listening to this, we get pretty much normal credit is made when you buy things. So that's when you have just regular normal credit. I'm gonna show y'all my board when I finish. Normal credit, you make them from bills paid on time. When you borrow money and you give it back, so that's trust. Normal credit is built on trust. So they take your trust and they turn it into something and they hand it out to the people that gave it to you, and they call that purpose trust. So the people that give it to you have to talk to someone else and say, hey, can we have some money? And they ask them, what is their purpose? What is the purpose for this? And if they feel that whatever purpose you said you needed you needed the credit for is good enough for them to give you money, then they'll give it to you. A non-purpose loan is pretty much, from what I'm hearing, is a place that people say, hey, I got plenty of money. Y'all just give it to you. I know you good at it. You don't have to tell me why you need it. Just give it to them because I know that I can give this person debt. I know I can give this person here, say it's at a 540. That's when I told you, remember I told you about this. The 540 people, they say, hey, this person wants $500. What's their credit score? 540. Yeah, give it to them. They're going to go into debt. We're going to get more money because they ain't going to make it to the interest time. They're not going to make it on time. They're going to have a hope. Yeah, give it to them. So they're going to have a non-purpose. When you have low credit, you get a non-purpose. When you have good credit, they're going to say, what's the purpose for it? All right, give them this amount of money because they making too much money and they may be doing some schemes and they may just be able to jump out of it whenever they want to and they don't even care. So they think about this. The banking system thinks about what it is that they're doing for you. You think they just go into that room, you feel me, and be like, hey, this person wants a credit. Let's sit here and think about it for a minute. Okay, now we're going to go. No, they have to go behind the scenes. Okay, they have to go behind the scenes and talk to another person, which what it calls is a broker. What they call that person is a broker. It's the person that sorts out all the money. It's the person that's over the banks. So you have the employees of the bank, you have the president of the bank that's at the actual bank president, and then you have the person that the bank has to talk to, which would be the money broker, which is the person that delegates from the Federal Reserve. Say they work for the Federal Reserve. And that's where they hold all the money, right? So when the broker asks the Federal Reserve for money, they have to go and follow the rules of the Regulation T is what they call. And that deals with credit, but that deals with granting credit to customers by security brokers, dealers, and exchange members as far as initial margins required and securities that cover under those rules. So when the broker has to go and see if you follow Regulation T, they go back and tell the bank. If you do, then they go and tell the bank. And then the bank tells you. Okay, so let's see my board here. All right, hold on. Sit myself down here. Okay, so what we got here is we got trust that turns into money. Okay, this also turns into other resources too, because trust can be turned to resources or money. That is your financial power. Okay, when you have trust, that means when you can talk to somebody and do what you say you're going to do. You got to do that within the mind, body, and the spirit. Not just when you're dealing with your money. You need to build trust, because when you build something, no matter what it is, it reflects on all realms of your understanding. Mentally, physically, emotionally. So understand what trust truly is. Then that financial power is, we're talking about financial, so we're going to talk about the trust financial power. That turns into normal credit. So you could turn your financial power into normal credit. It could be good or bad. You can have good credit or bad credit, but that depends on what? The initial trust. Did you follow what you said you was going to do? Then it goes, you got non-purpose and you got purpose. Now, when you go into the bank and ask for a loan, they ask is what's the purpose. You have a non-purpose or an actual purpose. Then the bank goes to the broker and say this is what they want it for. The broker then looks, this broker here looks if you can be trusted. Okay, if you cannot be trusted, then your broker will say no. If your broker doesn't care and they have enough money within the Federal Reserve based on the Regulation T, which is what's telling them to give you money or not to give you money, based on where you live, based on your trust, based on who you are. Sometimes Regulation T can also be judgmental based on your skin color, because they might even say that's a black person, that's a Mexican person, they ain't gonna pay it back, give them debt. Or that's a white person and we don't really have the money in the reserve right now, don't give it to them, but we know that they have good money. Something weird like that. They can do that because based on Regulation T, they can use your trust to tell them what to do with the purpose. I think I'm in the right direction. The purpose of your loan. So, now that we've gotten that broken down, let's see what we can do here. See, we got Reservation T. It says a Federal Reserve regulation that specifies the maximum initial credit extension that may be given to an investor in security. The initial margin requirements has varied from 40 to 100% since the regulation was established under the provisions of the Security Exchange Act in 1934. Listed stocks, convertible bonds, and many over-the-counter stocks are covered under Regulation T. See free ride and frozen account and special and special accounts. So we're gonna run to YouTube, because I had a person supposed to come explain this to y'all. Cause I'm just learning about what credit is.
I use QuickBooks Self-Employed to maximize my tax deductions. It's as simple as tapping on the
All right. So what we got going here? Hope you guys can see that. Sorry. It's just too loud and I can't take it. I don't need y'all open my business. He uses his trust that they've given him to have money. Why do we have to have interest in our trust? That they've already seen that we had a purpose. But still. We talked about that last video. How we pay off that before the due date, so you don't look like Sam, because Sam looks mad. For money he doesn't have, because if he did have it, he wouldn't have been borrowing it. So now his couch is worth $315 and he can't even sell it for that. Okay, so that's how the credit card works. Now, if sorry about my room though, you guys. I told you I just moved back. How to get I'm trying to look for it. Sorry, guys. All right, there it is. I found it.
Yeah, I use my mobile phone.
Here's the other one.
But I don't really like giving out my personal number for business. And sometimes I don't know when a call is for business or personal. Then a friend told me about the
Understanding your credit score, presented by WallStreetSurvivor.com. A credit score is a simple 3-digit number that tells lenders how likely you are to repay a loan. Here are two friends, Leslie and Andy. Leslie and Andy are both 30 years old, living in the same city, working at the same place, and earning the same salary. Leslie is fiscally responsible. She puts a portion of her salary into a savings account every month, always pays her credit card bills on time, and has never missed a payment on the mortgage of her home or her student loans. Andy, on the other hand, is a fiscal mess. Andy lives beyond his means and is always pushing the limit on his credit card and isn't afraid to miss a payment or two to buy the things he wants. Andy rents an apartment and hasn't even paid off his student loan yet. Now, if both Leslie and Andy came to a banker looking for a loan, which one do you think will get the better rate? Obviously, given their histories, Leslie is more likely to pay back the money she borrows on credit, on time. On the surface, however, Leslie and Andy look pretty similar. Same income, same job, same city. It's only when you dig a little deeper you can get to the good stuff. In order to save time, lenders invented the credit score that takes into account all of your financial history. Banks use your credit score when you apply for any loan, such as a mortgage, a business loan, a line of credit, or car and student loans. Scores typically range from 200 to 850. The higher your score, the better your credit is, and the better rates you'll get. The average score in the United States is around 711. A score of around 740 and above usually gives you the best interest rates, and scores of 620 and below usually prohibit you from borrowing any money at all. A good credit score is important to get good rates on the money that you borrow. For example, given their spending habits, Leslie's credit score would be closer to 850, while Andy's would be closer to 600. If they both need to borrow $1,000, Leslie's interest rate would be closer to 5%, while Andy's could be as high as 20%. So, while Leslie's monthly interest payments would be $50...
Now, remember I told y'all about this. They both want the same amount of money, but the interest rate is 5% from her. Why? Because they feel like her trust, her financial power says that she'll pay it, but she also pays more in taxes because of the way she spends and the way she saves and the way she lives her life. How far as Andy over here, they don't trust him at all. So they're going to say, we need to keep him in the debt because we know that he ain't paying that much taxes. He needs to feed the debt. He's already in it. But to make sure we get our money, we're gonna raise his interest. We're gonna take more money from him. Even though we know who he is and what he is, we don't really trust him. So no trust, more interest. More trust, less interest, but more taxes. Less taxes here. But let's continue.
Andy's would be $200. You can build good credit by getting a credit card as young as possible, paying off your credit card in full every month, sticking with the same credit card for
Did you hear that? They said as young as possible get a credit card. They mean they want to start your debt count way when you're young. But they don't teach young people about credit. So when you get young, you say, I'm 18 years old and I want a credit. Do you know what they do? They give you one. Why do they give you one? Because you don't know any better. And most likely you take that card and you spend it up. So by the time you're 25 and ready to get a house and a car, your credit score is either in debt or you successfully had successful people around you and that caused your credit to go up. But most likely your credit level and score is down because you were too young and no one told you what to do. But let's continue.
Long time and never missing a payment on a loan. To learn more about credit reports and other personal finance topics, head over to wallstreetsurvivor.com.
So,
hey guys, DjGizeroPhukz here. So this video is a story.
So pretty much what we're learning here, because it's going to take a couple videos for me to teach you guys the understanding of credit, because it is our financial power. It is the power that they keep stripping from us and telling us we're not worth anything, and we need to start taking back our power by instilling trust within our family, our friends, and in ourselves. We gotta take our financial power, turn it back into trust, and stop turning it into money, but keep it at the other resources. Because right now we take our trust and automatically turn it into money, but money isn't getting us anywhere because it's not even real. It's not even tangible. And we can't even really hold it anymore. It's turning into invisible dollars, invisible numbers, and an invisible system that we don't know who control it. So we need to start taking our trust. Because I don't know how long these videos are going to be about it, but credit, when we get talking about credit, we have to understand it. We got to understand it fully, and I'm still understanding it. But what I do understand and what I know now is that we have to take our trust, stop turning it into money, and start turning it into resources. Taking our trust, turning it into resources, no longer turning it into money. Because money right now is actually invisible numbers in a system we don't know who controls. So we gotta learn how to trust ourselves and trust others. And we gotta start doing what we say we're gonna do. Like I said, I'm gonna start doing these classes Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1. I'm trying to trust myself that I can make it at 1 o'clock. I mean, I may not make it exactly on 1 because let's say life happens. Just like life happens with your finances. That's what the bank say. Things do happen. We're going to trust them with this amount of money. We're going to turn their trust into points. And when you have enough trust build up, then they'll give you money. But what do you do with that money? Do you sell it, do it on drugs? Do you buy houses? Do you buy land? Do you keep the corporations growing? What do you do with that? How can they trust you with their money? So when you understand how this works, how the trust system, that's what we really got to talk about, the trust system within the government, our financial trust system, then we can get somewhere with it. But that's why I want to stop at today's class, because this is actually a really large topic to discuss. So right now, keep in mind, trust. Do you trust yourself? Do you trust others? Do you do what you say you're going to do? Do other people trust you? And then see how that reflects through your life. How much trust have you reflected through your life? And then ask yourself if that's why you're in the financial space that you are in right now. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment box. Hit up my website, manifestationalenergyexchange.com. Spells out me. Remember to treat yourself how you want to be treated. Treat others how you should be treated if you as them. And always gain knowledge. We want to consistently gain knowledge. But today's class was just about understanding what the score actually is. And understanding that trust is something that reflects through all of our realms of our understanding. So peace out. Enjoy the rest of your day.